Seven blessings, everyone. All righty. All right, let's get to it. Sorry, folks. Trying to get this thing on. I couldn't have problems. Had problems with Odyssey this morning, but it wasn't my computer. Thank the gods. Thank the seven. It was an Odyssey issue, and when they got it cleared up, my last stream, I tried to upload it like 6 times, and it showed up 6 times on my page. It was a real pain in the ass, and then I couldn't delete them all. You know how it goes. So anyway, folks, sorry about that. I feel naked about that. So I want to talk about the House of Dragon series, the prequel to the very, very popular, right? One of the most popular shows of all time. GOT, Game of Thrones. Right. Now, I've done the streams on Game of Thrones before, and we've talked about the Kabbalistic undertones, right? The like a lot of disturbing material, very much adult content. I wouldn't, I don't understand how anyone has can watch this with their children. I remember when my mom was still with us, and she caught like the first season. I used to have to like pause it if I was going to watch it with her. I'd have to like pause it. I'd have to watch it first. Tyrion or Littlefinger in the Pleasure House or something, or the overt bi gay stuff. None of that stuff really appealed to my mom. So I'd have to kind of like censor it. I kind of have to like censor it for it. It's very adult. It's not for children. This is like a NC-17 type of situation for Game of Thrones. That's what throws me off about. Oh, they should have had a trigger for the birthing scene in the premiere episode of House of Dragon. What do you need why do you need a warning? The material going in is going to be gratuitous, extreme scenes of violence, debauchery, sexual content, strong language, adult content. Do you need we're expecting a little thing? This is going to be a pretty gruesome scene. Warning, trigger, spoiler alert. And that's why I haven't read the books, right? So I'm doing this basically because I want to watch it and not have anything, I don't want to read it and know what's coming. I want it to be kind of like organic and to be at the edge of my seat. Who doesn't, right? I mean, I understand a lot of people read the books a while ago, right? Years ago, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I get it. But now that I'm watching the series, and there's a lot of room for this thing to go. The House of Dragon picks up in the 2nd century of the Targaryen, at the height of the Targaryen rule, right? So you're in the 2nd century of Targaryen rule. There's 10 adult dragons, right? We've only seen 2, but there's 10. Now, obviously, what I want to talk about here is there's timeless themes that never get old. The court intrigue, the drive for wealth, influence, power, right? All this stuff, it's nothing new. Now, this is a completely original universe that Mr. Martin has created, right up there with Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings, to the very last detail of creating their own languages. Like Tolkien invented these Elvish, Dwarfish, Orcish languages, right? You got George Martin with the Dothraki and the Dornish and all these other languages that they made up for this. So the detail is incredible. All right. Now, I talked about some of the disturbing content in my earlier streams a couple of years ago about how they're kind of promoting incest, right? Which is insane. The brother-sister Targaryen marrying each other to have as pure a bloodline as possible, which causes these recessive genes to be passed on and their extreme albino white features, etc. And of course, madness. Madness results from inbreeding. Just ask our Ashkenazim friends over there. Ask our Ashkenazim friends over there about the inbreeding, the marrying of the first cousins. Baruch Hashem. So anyway, so we have this whole Craster having sex with his daughters, marrying his daughters, their daughters having babies, and him marrying his granddaughters and his great granddaughters. And what is he doing with the sons? He's offering them up to the White Walkers so that they will leave his keep unmolested. Sort of like paying a ransom to Satan in the Septuagint, giving a portion to Satan to keep him satiated so he will leave Jerusalem unmolested. The evil impulse is good, for without the evil impulse, Israel could not prevail in the world. So you see this influence, right? This Old Testament, and there's Kabbalistic influences, there's Hermetic influences, the cosmic egg, the origin story, whether you're going with the Orphic Greeks that stole it from the Egyptians believed 8 gods formed the universe, and the sun god rose from the primordial waters. Matter, chaos, right? The cosmic egg, the serpent, the great serpent, and that is the major theme, right? You see, the Hermetic influence is there. I made this parallel, right, in terms of Hermeticism. So you have Aegon Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and ruler of the realm, right? You had Aegon Targaryen, the patriarch, the founding patriarch of House, of the Targaryen rule when they came over to Westeros after the great doom of old Valyria, right? I don't know what happened there. It's a cataclysm, right? The dragons went berserk and destroyed that fucking continent. What is that? What is that? What is that? That's a parallel for Atlantis, okay? Old Valyria is Atlantis, a super fucking high-tech, sophisticated civilization that was destroyed. Aegon Targaryen had this vision. So he was like, okay, we got to get up. We got to get out of here. So he jumped on his dragon. What is it? Valerian the Dread, whatever the fuck it, whichever dragon it was. And he's found this rich land of Westeros that he soon would conquer with his family. And the escapees, the people that made it out of Valyria, that did not suffer the doom, right? So Aegon Targaryen is Hermes, okay? Instead of a prophetic scribe of the gods, a sage wisdom god, right? Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, the scribe of the gods. He comes as in the form of Aegon the conquering guy, right? So the Hermeticism is inescapable, right? The Orphic cosmic egg, the Egyptian, right? All this stuff, the matter, all this stuff is the undertones are inescapable. The Kabbalah, the Old Testament, the Septuagint, the incest, the pedophilia, the rape, the bloodlust, the conquest, right? All of these themes which occur throughout history. Now, people want to say, how can you possibly expect to make a successful sequel? Well, I would argue that you not only can you make a prequel in this case, right, a follow-up. I would argue that this is even better than Game of Thrones. This House of Dragons is really, really awesome. Whether you want to compare it, there's continuity. The cinematography is great. The acting is phenomenal. Patty Considine is terrific, right? The characters are rich. There's a lot there. It's a very well done production on a very high level. They did not miss a beat at all, right? Music, cinematography, CGI, it's all fucking fantastic. And from what I'm seeing, they're not having the same kind of production hiccups, and it's going much smoother, right? I couldn't believe that HBO had to wait. I couldn't believe HBO had to wait to get the ratings for the premiere episode to order a season two. That's, I mean, I don't know what kind of foresight, what those executives are thinking, right? Order, season 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and there's a long way to go because this takes place 172 years before the Mad King's death and the birth of Daenerys Stormborn Khaleesi. So you have 172 years in the gap there that you can do, and if you want to go further back, you have the flexibility to do that and do a series on old Valeria, right? There's a lot there to really sink your teeth into. But the themes are timeless. That's why they can resonate with us. We can relate with the girls, right? The girl king, the girl princess who can never be king. And you can have empathy for her and how she is, set aside, not important, doesn't really rate. It's all about a male heir and how even when you love someone as deeply as Viserys loved his queen, when you have this thing hanging over your head, the line of succession, the chaos that will ensue, he was willing to essentially order the death of his wife to birth his potential heir. And what happens in true George R.R. Martin fashion? They both die, right? Another lesson, right? If you would have just let nature take its course, maybe the kid didn't make it. Or you should, in this day and age, that would never happen, right? That would never happen. But that shows you the gravity and how does that affect the surviving husband that has to make this decision, has to make this call? Do I sacrifice my unborn child or my wife? It's an impossible, horrible, probably the worst choice anyone could possibly be asked to make. And when they both die, it's kind of like a lesson learned. Like, this is if there was such a thing as karma, which is there? Maybe, I don't know. I know the Eastern folks will get upset with me. But the Hermeticist undertones, the Kabbalistic undertones, the Old Testament, the God of Yahweh, the angry gods, and that's what this really is, right? This is polytheistic, and that's what who it's polytheism. It's not. They want to present it as the God of Israel and the one true God, monotheism, but it really isn't, because there's Samael, there's Lilith, there's God walking in the Garden of Eden, talking to other people. Who's he talking to? He's talking to Satan. And all of these theologies, right, wrapped into this medieval, old, Westeros, fucking George R.R. Martin, crazy mind of this guy. And it's very entertaining. There's no doubt about it. And he takes on a lot of of topics. And the wokeism, the Bolshevik Trotskyite wokeism creeps into it as well, right? So it's very deep and very rich, and you can analyze it from several different on several different levels. But in terms of, would you rather be, in terms of the best way to rule, would you rather be loved or feared? What makes a successful monarch? What's most important? Will you sacrifice your people for personal gain? I think the answer is always yes in these circumstances. But at the same time, these characters are pretty complex, and the prospect of a Targaryen civil war is very interesting, right? Because both of these Targaryen, both of the lead characters, right, the King Viserys and his brother Daemon, who's the heir, but because Viserys doesn't have a male heir and has a daughter, and when he lost his child, Viserys, Daemon was kind of celebrating with his whores and toasted the newly dead, the just dying prince Balon, toasted him as heir for a day, and that got back to the king, and he disinherited his brother, and made his daughter, his firstborn daughter, the heir. So you can imagine the consternation, right? That would have in terms of very patriarchal society. There's no queen. This queen thing isn't working. They never had a queen, and that shows you the pressures that he was under. So he's a very sympathetic character. Don't get me wrong. The Paddy Considine King Viserys character is very sympathetic. He seems like a really decent, kind guy. Very not a violent guy. And what's interesting is they make his brother, which is kind of like a neutral evil character, but he's not outright villain, and you kind of like him too. That's the key, right? To make these contrasting characters likable, even though they're very different. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is such brilliant fantasy movie making, if you will. Very compelling storyline, characters, and you care about these people because they have a lot of admirable qualities. Even the aggressive brothel, hopping crazier brother, right? So I think this series is going to be even better than Game of Thrones. I do, and I know a lot of people are going to be reflexively, oh no, how can you say that? Blah, 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 blah. It's not going to be the Game of Thrones because they have like this whole, they want to get on a team and they have to feel like they have to be loyal to the first set of characters or whatever. But you know what, folks? I don't care. I like the genre. I'm sure Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings series is going to be good. This is kind of like my thing, right? Sci-fi, fantasy, big fan. Loved right? Lord of the Rings, but I didn't like Harry Potter. That's another story, right? It's not like I'm into all this stuff. The whole Harry Potter stuff is blah blah blah, and the whole social wokeism part, making Lord Corlys Valerian a brother man. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. I don't. There's already people complaining that there's not enough gay characters on the House of Dragon. Yeah. Come on, man. Stop with this nonsense. And white folks, stop saying dead ass. Okay? It's not working for you. Please. Please pull that out of the arsenal. Retire it back. It doesn't belong to you. You sound very stupid saying it. You're not hip. You're not cool. Don't say it. Don't you dare say it. So, yeah, that's it. Big, bam, 20 minutes. House of Dragons, highly recommend it. We can talk about these Kabbalistic, Hermeticist, Old Testament, Septuagint, Talmudic undertones as we proceed through the season. But if anybody is on the fence or hasn't watched it yet, or thinking about foregoing it, don't do it. It's just as good, if not better, than the original Game of Thrones. I know that the two Tribist co-creators of Game of Thrones won't appreciate that, but it is what it is. This is fantastic. Everybody should check it out, and we'll do another stream a little bit later on those we cannot speak of, those who cannot be named, Baruch Hashem, and I'll see you guys then. Truthers United will never be